We are back with another episode of Mystics at the Grocery Store. And today we are jumping into, I think, a super interesting topic and something that folks have probably heard of and maybe experienced, like had their own experiences with this more readily, maybe than like Reiki, maybe even meditation and things like that. So today we are talking about sound and frequency. And this can fall under so many different things, but we are going to chat about chanting. Um, I have some really interesting studies to bring up that were really fascinating. But even like the music you listen to, different hertz frequencies, you might have played with like binaural beats, things like that. So that's what we're talking about today.
Love it.
And we wanted to start with kind of going around and talking about our most powerful experiences with sound and frequency, or even maybe like the first experience you remember,
Mm.
but things like that. So, ladies, who wants to share first?
Not me.
Ah,
Melinda,
okay then.
go.
Okay then.
There we go.
Uh, okay. Um, yeah, well, if I think back to my first experiences, I think I was again born into a field that was full of music. My father's a musician and my mom is a dancer, played finger cymbals and drums. So my house was always full of people playing guitar and singing together and harmonizing. And my dad says that his memory of when I was a tiny, tiny thing and was just in my crib at nap time. And he was like, what? I was singing something. And he couldn't quite figure out what it was, but it was like I didn't know the words because I didn't speak yet, but I was able to parrot the sounds of the song that he used to play a lot and he loved. It was a Hank Williams country song and was like a song, Why Don't You Love Me Like You Used to Do? Why do you treat me like a worn out shoe? And anyway, I, as a baby, heard this so much.
I
And I
was so
used to,
hoping you were going to sing it.
I'm not singing it yet. No. And I would say, and so he would hear me saying, like a worn out shoe over and over. I don't think I said it quite like that, but it was like, I didn't know really what I was saying, but I would just be like this tiny baby singing like a worn out shoe. And it was like, but with happiness, because it just sounded good to me and it felt good. And I was like parroting. And I think that's what we do probably. And that's how we learn language. And where we come into the soundscape of our family and we don't know what the heck is going on. We're hearing, and we're trying to figure out how to form the mouth around the words. And then that's our initiation into this whole magical portal of words, which are basically magic wands to get us what we need when we're, when we're kids. Like, so I don't know that sort of just came through as like the first thing for me. And then the other thing, the idea of laughing, I think really comes through for me. For like my mom used to make me and laugh a lot because she would like do the thing of bouncing me on the bed. And she says that I would just like laugh and laugh and laugh until I couldn't. I'd be like, stop, because it just like hurt so much to be laughing that hard. And she would be laughing. And so laughing, and we know laughter is a therapy. We know laughter, like there's laughter yoga, even if you don't feel like it and you do it, it becomes ridiculous, but it actually kind of like can make you feel better. So just those kind of little simple examples are my earliest memories.
Those are cute.
Yeah.
Those are super cute. I don't really remember like that far back. Sorry. Uh, yeah, that's Yeah, that's not nothing's coming through for me for that young, sorry. But for me, one of the first things that one of the first recollections that I can't, but I wrote down a couple of them was my second pregnancy, where it was the music that I was listening to, and it was the waves, the sounds, and the ocean sounds is actually what it was called. And I was so traumatized by the first pregnancy. No, giving birth. No. I don't know how or what made me think, yeah, let me listen to music or let me listen to a calming something. But that frequency, the ocean sounds actually started something that I continued with the last three of them, but it would definitely calmed me down. It got me to a place where I was actually breathing the way that I should be breathing, focusing on what I should be focusing on, not, that like that exaggerated, fearful kind of, oh my God, this shit freaking hurts kind of a thing. Um, so that's one that is coming to mind. And then the most recent, well, I guess the most recent one that's really, really standing out is really profound. And it was, you know, it's not a frequency that um is played someplace else. It was a frequency from within. And it was when I was in Scotland doing in that at the retreat. And we actually had a practice where we were releasing, and it was releasing through screaming and tantrums. So it was the frequency that we were letting out. It was so empowering. And it was like, oh, we're just not going to just start screaming. That's just, all in our nice little outfits, and we're sitting around in our yoga stance, and she
Mm.
goes in now, and then we're going to scream in this workshop. And we were all like, okay. Just say, she's like, no, you're gonna feel it. Don't worry about it. And as soon, she had a drum, and she was talking to us, and she was talking us through it. And as she was hitting that drum, then she was like, and scream and tantrum and throw your feet and pound on the floor. And as
Mm.
she was beating the drum, everybody, and then before the entire room was screaming. And luckily, this was in a castle someplace far away. But so nobody was like, oh my God, I can't imagine doing that in a hotel room or, at a conference center. But it was so empowering and just releasing that way. Like I can often remember, during depression times, because you guys know that I suffered from depression for quite a bit of time. And just wanting to go into the woods and scream, but being like, somebody's going to hear me. I can't just do this, but wanting to release that way. So, those are two of the ways that frequency came in for me, but I jotted down some more, but we'll move on to Miss Ross.
I love that.
No,
It was
Castle.
so
Screaming in a
good.
castle. Sounds, we should all go do that right now.
I know. Because my brain was immediately
Yeah.
going to like how interesting that we've been uh what's the word I'm thinking of? Like conformed by society to not like express fully, and that we're so restrained
Mm.
because it's, not proper to be screaming somewhere where you can be heard. I don't remember the last time I screamed other than like partially screaming after seeing a bug or something. You know what I mean? Like there was never like it must have been childhood, like really screaming. Um, but yeah, just hitting that point of like how important the throat chakra is and letting it be fully expressed and felt. Um, I was thinking and I wasn't originally thinking as far back as like childhood, but Melinda reminded me that when I was a kid, and actually, as I was cleaning a storage unit today, I found some of these CDs, but I would love to get like indigenous music CDs or like I think one of them was literally uh like nature CD, so it had like oceans and like birds and like all that stuff. And I guess even as a child, like I needed the frequency of feeling grounded, like in nature. That was very
Mm.
important to me. And like the drums and like just feeling like my body and being was kind of like sinking into that deep frequency of earthy sound. But originally the thing that I thought of was actually, one of the experiences I had that eventually led me to finding Reiki was going to multiple crystal bowl sound healings. So bowls like this behind me. Um, and just in different environments. So like one of them was in like a small yoga studio and like they had all of the seven bowls and like she was going and it was just like that sensation of just being completely like overwhelmed by the vibration and the sound and like feeling it bouncing off the walls and the other people around you and like coming back to you. And it was just such a powerful, cool experience to have. And then I went to one that was actually outside, and it was like, I was kind of like, I don't know if this is really going to be the same because it's like, what's going to bounce back at me? Like, how's it gonna... And it was just as incredible. And then just being in like the wide expanse of like this park and being able to feel all the frequencies and vibrations. And it was just so, so neat. So that's like one of my favorite, like full on sound frequency experiences to have is just when you're like totally taken over by the vibration of it. And then everything just kind of mellows out and you kind of like sink into how it feels. It's just so fun and so neat. But yeah, that would be.
I'm fine. I have had that experience, and as you're talking and you describe it so beautifully, I'm like feeling it and barely able to speak anymore because I'm there.
Well,
If
and I
you,
know sometimes
yeah.
people use like the big gongs and like
Hmm.
the smaller Tibetan bowls and yeah, I guess you know what, listener, if there's a sound healing near you, do it.
Try it. It
Go
is
try it.
so beautiful. And
So
sometimes it's
fun.
in conjunction with like a cacao ceremony.
Hmm.
And it's just, it really is a great gift you can give yourself yeah, don't poo poo it. It is absolute. Just experience it if you haven't. It is amazing. Yeah.
I would say though, do your homework because these are practitioners. I mean, if you go to somebody that does it the right way, it's a practitioner and they know which sounds and which
Hmm.
frequencies go together. Because if you mix too many frequencies together that are not in conjunction or working well together, it can really mess with your nervous system. You can get nauseous, things of that nature. So definitely do your homework and find somebody that's been practicing for a while. Ask questions too. Like how do you decide what motivates you to play which whatever one or
Hmm.
what process are you going through that um, which ones are the best ones to use for whatever's going on with whomever. I would definitely do some research questions because I've definitely, I've not experienced the nausea, but there are some frequencies where I will just, I just have to actually hide away from because they're just too much. But at one point, I did take a couple of classes for sound healing with the Tibetan bowls because I have the sun, I have moon. It's either Saturn or Uranus that I have, but they all have different frequencies. But I wanted, and I was talking very generically to the guy that was making them, and I'm like, listen, I am not a practicing practitioner, so I want something that I don't need. I don't want to worry that they're not going to work well together. And he was very helpful with that. But while I was studying that, it was always like you need to know what you're going in there for. What is your sound healing supposed to do for those that are there? And make sure that you're using the correct bowls with the correct frequency because you're just not ding, 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 ding. You're not just doing that. So that's just my
Yeah.
word of caution.
Well, and I think it's helpful though because it reminds me to mention like there are different frequencies for the different chakras
Mhm.
or certain types of, like if you want to be in your theta brainwave or Um, there's, and I don't know them off the top of my head, and that could have been something helpful to look up. But there's like for healing, there's a certain frequency. I think it's like 440 or 432. But then for like focus, there's a different frequency, or theta, there's a different frequency. So look that up. And I would also suggest there's a lot of really, like I use the app Insight Timer. And they have a lot of really neat hertz specific frequency music. Some of it is like guided meditation, and some of it is just like instrumental tracks that are at that certain vibration, um, that have been really interesting to use during meditation or like before bed is nice. If you get one of like the really deep sleep ones. Um, but yeah, it's fun to play with, but I think definitely Adrienne's word of caution is important because you could be lighting your system up with certain stuff that you're not intending to, for
Just
sure.
shows it shows the power of it too, and
Yeah.
how,
Mm,
yeah, it's can be used for healing, and it also could be used for messing things up. So that's a
Yeah.
great point, Adrienne. And it is very powerful. And that's, I
Mhm.
think, that's our point, really. It really is a powerful modality in all, well, there's many modalities within this rubric that we're talking about.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Well, and that reminds me too, when I was kind of looking up some stuff before we recorded, as I was like, you know what? I kind of remember hearing that like the ancient Egyptian pyramids might have been built in certain ways that like sound frequency might have been actually what they were doing in certain rooms, how that might have been like healing. And there's other pyramids and temples in kind of the similar location that there was one, I don't remember the name, but it seemed to have like a sound healing room at the front of this temple. Like the purpose of it was that people were going here to be healed by the frequency of what they were
mm,
doing, which is so, so interesting. Um, but yeah, it's fascinating that I think we kind of discredit like ancient civilizations that they didn't know what we know, but I think they often knew a lot more
yes.
than we do
They're open
now.
to so much more.
Yeah. Um, but yeah.
wait, piggybacking on that comment, I just was reading, there is a theory, and I'm not saying this is fact, we don't know, but about the building of the pyramids, and that
Oh.
it was actually sound frequency and great hordes of people intoning that actually was how almost a
Mm,
levitation
exciting.
of the blocks and that, and that through it sound the pyramids were formed. But imagine like hundreds of people
Hmm.
intoning, and that so that was one theory I was reading about, and I could totally buy that because of how with chanting certain ways you really start to feel a buzz and
Hmm.
almost a levitating feeling
Yeah.
in within your body. So I could just imagine that amplified so much if there was a huge mass of people, and their intention is to do that thing. And then, I mean, because we don't know how the pyramids were formed.
Yeah. It's
So,
fascinating.
yeah.
I could totally jump on board with believing that. And especially because I think there's some that believe that the layer that we see of the pyramids was not the top layer, that it was actually some other type of material that was more conductive with like sound and I don't know if it was like quartz or I don't know what it was, but there is that theory as well. But it's like I think we don't know a lot of what the pyramids were used for, which is really fun.
Yeah.
I like that. But I jumped into my notes. So one thing that I remember, I don't know how sometimes you hear these things, they stick with you, but I remember people when heard people talking about frequency before and certain hertz, they were like, yeah, Prince only recorded his music at a certain frequency. And so he only recorded his music at 432 hertz because he was interviewed to like say that it was the gold standard of like music and audio. But I mean, I loved his music. I've always felt like it was very like healing and happy and, things like that. But I thought that was cool that people can be very specific about like what you're hearing. when you're listening to their stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, he had so many qualities. Even I sometimes I'm watching like I don't know which video it is. It's on YouTube. My husband and I play it every once in a while where he's not even singing. He's just doing the guitar
Mhm.
and just the way that he's making it reach the notes and the frequencies that he's making it reach. It was just like, my God, he was like just an amazing musician. Yeah, that word.
Yeah.
Um, and we watch it often and we're just like, wow, she just look and just like the speed at what she does it to and the ease.
Mhm.
And I love that he changed his name into like a symbol, like, which is so, it just shows his connection into all of the ways that sound is magic. And because there's this whole Tibetan approach to sounds being connected to divinities, different divine beings, and also being like mandalas. And so, and we know, when certain things are intoned in certain ways, like it can have an effect on sand and it can
Mhm.
form like different mandalas within the sand, or, and we know about how it has effects on water, but just made me think about like that Prince's brilliance, and just he was just so tapped into so much. And it's just what a tragedy that he had to go too soon from, because he would still be here amazing us, I think,
Definitely.
but he definitely, yeah, inspiration.
Well, and just that thing again of what we were saying, like, yes, sound is very powerful, but like your intention makes it even more amplified. So, like, if you're sitting down to like meditate or heal or whatever, and you're really fully present in the moment of what you're letting in as frequency, like, it can just be so, so powerful in what you're trying to do, which is just so neat. But I had some interesting studies that I found, which kind of
Yeah.
blew my mind. Um, so one of them was looking at the therapeutic effects of mantra chanting. And they used different things like EEGs and fMRIs to basically see that through the mantra chanting and a certain type of meditation, they were able to like enhance the alpha and theta brain waves, which was what we were kind of talking about, like the brain waves, the activity during the chanting, to see that it triggered the same reactions to relaxation, emotional regulation, like stimulating that part of your brain that kind of takes you out of the fight or flight. It also reduced cortisol levels and improved cardiovascular health, which was very interesting. There was another one that also studied the Om chanting and how that affected the vagus nerve and got you out of fight or flight. Um, and they were seeing that they found that activity of the vagus nerve was through the vibrations themselves of like your sinuses and larynx and all of like your throat area and everything. So it was the actual vibrations of emitting the sound yourself, not just like hearing it, that had the effect, which is really neat. But yeah, slowing heart rate, promoting relaxation. But the last one I found, which was just so cool, was that MIT studied the 40 hertz gamma stimulation on early onset Alzheimer's patients. And they had 15 volunteers with mild Alzheimer's disease in early stage trials, and they were evaluating whether an hour a day of 40 hertz light and sound simulation could deliver clinically meaningful benefits, because they had seen in animal studies that it actually increased those brain waves, but it also preserved neurons and the connections in the brain themselves. And it reduced the same proteins that show up for in Alzheimer's patients. So it was reducing the proteins that showed up. So they also did a follow-up study that found that the daily audiovisual stimulation over 2 years seemed to have slowed what they would have expected the progression of the disease, which is just fascinating, like super, super fascinating. But that one was like, oh my God,
Yeah, that's
amazing.
amazing. That is amazing.
So yeah, I feel like there's so much we don't know. And without getting into anything like, uh, what's the word I'm looking for? Um, I don't know, the word is escaping me, but I think that type of research is I don't know if frowned upon is the right word, but it's not the main, it's not normal. It's not how we viewed medicine so far. Um, but I think it's hopeful that there are people that are researching this and, putting in the time and experimenting with what can be done with sound and how it can help our bodies and everything like that. But just so incredible that even just chanting, humming, just stimulating that within yourself has real benefits. So easy to be able to do. But yeah, I thought those were neat.
So neat. It's great to have the people doing that kind of research. I mean, and we need more of that, but we also just need to try it and you will see the results for yourself if you actually do the practices. And it really can transform your energy. And then if you do that and you feel it within yourself, you know, that's all the proof I need for a lot of things, not that I don't have, I'm not trying to heal. I mean, I've heard that anecdotally and that there have been healings of bones through intoning. There have been tumors dissolved through toning. I'm not saying that this is, I'm not claiming anything here on Mystics at the Grocery Store. We are talking and we are riffing. These are anecdotal things. However, people were there who I've talked to who these things happen to. And the organs, the whole body responds to, like you said, Rosalind, from our own, the sound of our own voice in ways that is not through the language we normally speak every day, but through intoning of like vowel sounds, which are considered sacred. Um, and not even having consonants get in the way, it's some people talk about vowels being the sort of the feminine and consonants being the masculine. And I don't mean man woman, I mean talking about, there's gender in all things, but I certainly experienced that recently at this retreat that was this online. I did a 10-hour training with Jill Purse, and it was incredible. I was elated. I was like, this is why people were Hare Krishnas running around. Like, this is why I could feel it. I was like, my second chakra, uh, like that point below the navel, it was like all filled with joy at the end of all of this experience. And I was like, I don't need to know any science. This feels good. This feels good. So, but there's so many reasons to try these things. And, if you haven't tried it, it's powerful in the same way that like if you've never had it's like those moments when you're like, oh, I poo-pooed that all these years. Well, how is that? But then you're like, oh, I have an energy body. Oh, wow. I feel a tingling at my crown I've never felt before. Oh, I feel lighter. Oh, suddenly I want to go clean my closet. Suddenly there's a shift. And yeah, I don't know. Have you guys experienced that with doing chants and things like that, Adrienne?
I'm more of that music frequency. Like we have a certain frequency that we go to bed with, that we listen to, and it's that soothing frequency that just releases and heals at the same time. And it changes at nighttime. It depends. Like, what are we feeling like? And it's very interesting that the ones that my husband picks are very earthy. He likes to listen to the rain. He likes to listen to like the snowstorms from the outside. He likes to listen to things like that. And me, I can go either way. I can listen to those types of things, or I can listen to just the plain frequency of the actual sound healing bowls or things like that. Um, but one of the things I wanted to bring up is like there's no. It's as simple as when you go to the ocean and you listen to the waves. How do you feel? Just answer that question. Okay, that's a simple. The other thing is athletes, all you athletes out there, you have a pump up song. You have a song that gets you ready for your next whatever it is that you're getting ready to do, whether it's to run that marathon, swim that 500, whatever it is, but you have a certain um, playlist that gets you in the mood to do whatever it is that you're going to do. And it's just those simple things like that. It's nothing that you have to be talked into. It's like we experience it all the time. And there's certain frequencies that I listen to here where I know if I need to get some meticulous work done, if I'm creating a course, I've got jazz music in the background. I'm getting my stuff done. If I'm doing intuitive work, it's more of like a frequency of, I would say might be like the 432 frequency, but it can range. And it is even coming in. It's like, I don't know what I was watching, something on an old show, and it was that forced laughter. Like the crowd behind them was laughing because they all sort of laugh now, and then you heard them laughing, so you were like, oh, it's got to be funny because they're laughing too, and you kind of giggle along with them. That's that kind of a forced laughter. So these things about sound are not something that's new. I mean, like producers and directors have known this forever, and they've been doing it, and to hold up the sign to say laugh now or applaud now, like they were leading you to a place where you can actually feel what they were trying to do, whether it was funny or not. But and the last thing I'm going to say is, even if you watch a scary movie with no sound, you don't hear that. You don't know, oh, I was supposed to be scared. You know what I'm saying? So these are just simple things that you can actually stop and think about and go, oh yeah. And that scary movie that scared the bejesus out, watch it with no sound, just like 5 minutes, and be like, okay.
It's totally different.
Wow. I guess I wasn't okay. I guess it really was the music that led me to the fact that my body had to be in a certain frequency to feel the fear that they were feeling on the camera. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's just kudos to actors, because how I'm sure they don't have that playing in their ear to go, you have to be this scared because this is going to happen to you.
That's so true. They don't have their own creepy music in the background.
And then also organs have frequency. So like your internal organs have frequency. So like these are not things that are just, they just come to light as you start studying more and jumping down rabbit holes. But I remember when I was in Connecticut, I cannot remember what it was called, but she actually had, I don't think it was anything that was attached to me. I think it was actually just a probe in the room, and it was copper. I can't remember, but it was listening to the frequency of my body just as I was breathing, and then she played it back to me, and it was actually, I was just like,
Wow.
so I am really looking forward to doing that again. I will try to find out what it's called.
Hold on now. Hold on. What?
Yeah.
Let me just, I was just, as you were talking, I was like, is she describing a dream right now with an alien? What?
Yeah.
Tell me again, like describe the thing. What?
I don't remember if it was the piece of
probably
equipment that
copper,
she
I feel
had.
like.
And
Okay.
it was definitely some copper that was attached to it, but it was nothing that was attached to my body, but it was just lay there
So you're
and
lying
breathe
down. You're in a room.
in a room, laying down. breathing,
Yeah.
and it's reading your frequency, and then it goes into some program, and then the program, and then
Is
she
it
played
like
it back.
is it going over your body in different spots, or is it staying in one spot?
It's in one
Just like
spot.
in one spot. This
Yeah,
is like your overall frequency.
Mhm.
absolutely. I loved it.
Wow.
And I wish I still had it. It was on one of my old phones that crapped the bed, so I wasn't able to retrieve that. But yeah, when I go back up north, I'm definitely going to have her
It
do
would
it
be
again
cool to
because
do that and then then have some sound,
compare it.
stuff. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. That would be
Yeah,
I mean,
cool.
people do
that was
that
different
with
happening.
like out in nature, like they'll connect an electrode to like a mushroom or
I love
like
that.
a tree leaf, and then they'll play like what comes through in the frequency, and it's usually like so quirky and cool, but like there is tonality to it. Like it's not just like random sound, like there is actual tone to it and like kind of this bit of like musicality. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's so fascinating. I love that. But yeah, find out where that is. Like, find out the name of that.
I will. I will.
I
As
would
soon as we're
love to
done, I'm going to
see
reach out to her and find out.
if something like that exists close to me, because that would be
No,
really
you know,
cool
it should not, because when we all get together up in
to do it
Massachusetts, we
together.
can do it because she's moving back to Connecticut because she was
Oh.
out in Phoenix for a bit in Arizona.
She's so excited. She froze. Well, hopefully it's not too
Mm,
disruptive.
mm.
But that's awesome. Yes. Find out if it's called a certain thing, and we shall, of course, do it together when we can,
Investigate.
but investigate and see. It kind of reminds me of those like aura photographs, but I mean, it's totally different, but those are cool too. Those pick up
Friend
something.
of mine just did that in Salem,
Ooh, that is such a Salem
Massachusetts. She
thing.
did it and it was
Something else
really
to do in
interesting. There you
Salem.
go. We got to meet. There was a
Mm-hmm.
couple of cool orbs or near her
Ooh.
and it was very visible. Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah, that would be fun to do. Okay, next trip, girls, where we've got a
Mhm.
whole list of things we have to do.
Planning it out.
Mhm.
Well, this has been fun, and really fascinating. And I hope, listeners, that you are inspired to kind of play with some of these things, whether you have like an old sound bowl sitting around or even tuning forks. But of course, I mean, you can just play with this with your own voice, humming, oming. You could find some guided meditations that lead through chanting. I'm sure there's so much online that you could find to play with. Um, but yeah, it's very powerful. It's very healing, and it's just one of those things that I feel like gives you that sense of empowerment as well, and being in your own authority to be able to really shift your frequency from within. Um, I know sometimes, and we've joked about this before, I don't know if it's been online or offline, but sometimes when I'm having to do chores around the house, I'll just ohm through them just to make it a better experience. But just, play with it and have fun with it and let us know what you find and what helps you. And yeah, that's it
Yeah,
from us. Any other
that's
notes,
wonderful.
ladies?
It's
I love that.
wonderful.
I do have a frequency to clean the house too. It's called Saturday morning cleaning. It's just
Mm.
all about dancing and cleaning the house. And I can't even sit and listen to the music. I just have to, I could try to sit and not, and then before I know it, I'm standing up and I'm like, oh, you know what? Those clothes really need to be put away, or those clothes, whatever. Oh, look at the dust on that. Let me go and take care of this. So it's just use it and let it empower you. Just let it
Yeah,
go.
Yeah. And
100%.
it doesn't have to be long, like just
Mhm.
even 5 minutes of trying some
Just trying
intoning,
something.
just trying it, and you're just going to find a shift. It's going to be just that quick.
Definitely. All right. Well, that's it for our episode this week. We'll have your astrological forecast on Friday. So we will see you then. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.